George Best admits that the days when the world's most beautiful women flock to his side are drawing to a close. Photographs suggest that Richard Branson may have been subjected to his most humiliating smear yet. Prince Charles gets to grips with life as a single man. Good evening and welcome at the start of 12 hours of unbridled delight. I refer not to the programme, but the period of time during which we have no government. In the election run-up, reports that this is the dirtiest campaign so far are confirmed when the Labour leader is spotted trying to strangle Sir Geoffrey Howe. In Rochdale, Cyril Smith's lapel badge is delivered ready for the count. And finally, Kurdish leaders react to the news that now the election's over, Jeffrey Archer plans to visit them again. On Ian Hislop's team tonight, a talented comedian, a witty raconteur, a charismatic performer, there's no one he can't impersonate. A star of The Rory Bremner Show, will you welcome the Rory Bremner? And on Paul Merton's team, someone who, when it comes to news quizzes, is no stranger than he was when he last appeared on this programme. Formerly editor of Punch, formerly a magazine, Alan Corrin. Well, as you may have noticed, in an unconvincing attempt to distinguish this special election special from our normal run-of-the-mill shows, we've divided the studio into a blue corner and a red corner. Ian and Rory have the dubious privilege of sitting amongst the true blues, while Paul and Alan stand proud of the Labour lovelies, and I find myself framed by the leading lights of the Liberal Democrats. So let's pussyfoot gingerly into round one, in which we relive the raw joy of watching party political broadcasts. Two each to fondly recollect and identify. Ian and Rory, you're first.
We used to come in and buy kippers.
Well, we still sell the kippers at the back.
I'll have some kippers.
Yeah.
I'll have some kippers. Immediately opposite there, that is where we lived. It is. It's still there.
That was a party political broadcast for the Labour Party. Terrifically effective. They went ahead 9 points straight away.
It sort of did sound like the beginning of a music hall act, didn't it? You know, do you still serve kippers? Well, I'm serving you, ain't I?
I'm surprised to find Brixton's still there. It wasn't that. Good God, Brixton's still there. I thought they destroyed that in 85.
Yes, Major was visibly surprised to see his old house still standing. Odd, considering it was perfectly intact the previous Wednesday when they did the rehearsal. Seen there in Brixton Market just before making his first soapbox speech, Major was buying kippers for his breakfast as they'd curiously run out of eggs. Apparently the idea behind purchasing the kipper was to show he was an ordinary, everyday resident of Brixton. Presumably he was going to douse it in petrol and hurl it at the police.
This soapbox that he's got is a wonderful idea, isn't it? You can see them sort of saying, how can we make him look charismatic? Let's stand him next to a wooden box. Or the message is, vote for this man, he's got a wooden box.
No, vote for this box. He's got a wooden man.
Paul and Alan, an equally implausible broadcast for you.
This is the girl with the Joe Cocker record stuck in her head. Turn it off, I can't stand anymore.
Listening to Kinnock, look. This is a child with a grommet. No one in their right minds goes into a party political broadcast with a word like grommet, but anyway, this child been waiting 9 months for a grommet to put in her ear so she'd hear better, but in fact this turned out to be untrue, and the Tories were gleeful that it was because she was on the wrong list. This is a wonderful defence of National Health Service. It means if she'd actually had her operation, she probably would have had her left leg taken off. But anyway, she was called Jennifer. Yes, she came from a wonderful family where the father had given this information to the Labour Party,
The mother was a Tory voter, and Grandad had faxed Tory Central Office with the details.
It's little Jennifer Bennett in hospital for the insertion of a grommet. Absolutely right. Labour Press Secretary Julie Hall was forced to confess that she'd revealed the Christian name, but the big question was which of the three main parties had leaked the surname to their friends at the Daily Express. Bit of a riddle, that one, isn't it? Ian and Rory, who are these lovable eccentrics.
I believe that most people in this country are social democratic by nature. They've been forced into political pigeonholes in which they sit rather uncomfortably.
Comfortably. That's the pronunciation party.
I think that's Claire Rayner talking about these uncomfortable things she's been selling on the television. There's a home video on behalf of the last three tragic members of the SDP, whose leader has just said, vote Tory. Which must have pleased them.
Dr. O's now had more parties than Paddy Ashdown's had secretaries.
Satire. Who said satire?
That's rather uncalled for.
Although true.
No wonder his eyes are practically shut.
It was... It was before we go any further down that line. Paul and Alan, a rather more credible outfit for you.
Hello, everyone. I'm an expert in making things disappear.
Natural law party, isn't it?
I thought it was another Labour Party one about people waiting for an operation on their... But I think they're right.
Jennifer's Piles or something like that.
It looked as if they were having a grommet forcibly inserted at the time. It's the Natural Law Party, whose position on the NHS, electoral reform, education policy in Europe is still unclear, but what's certain is that they're fully behind jumping up and down cross-legged on a mattress, an issue which other parties seem curiously reluctant to tackle. That they promise to stop all crime, end all wars and cure all known diseases, which is very kind of them. Which brings us stumbling to the end of round one, at which point the magnificent totals are as follows. Well, Paul and Alan have a maximum 4, and Ian and Rory have an equally replete 4. Well, this is the part of the show where we ask you to hold everything as our intrepid guests gird their loins for our once popular caption competition. Each team is confronted with a captionless photograph. Paul and Alan, this is yours. Ian and Rory, yours is this. And between now and past, it's your joint responsibility to put words into whosever mouths you deem appropriate. And while you're letting your creative juices run riot, we'll trundle into round 2, our candidates round. One eminent electoral personage each for you to identify. Paul, recognise the chap on the left.
Well, obviously.
Surely it's one of the cabinet ministers they think aren't telegenic.
It's not
David Mellor, isn't it?
It's not the girl...
There's so many to choose from.
It's
John
not the girl
Dummer.
It's not the girl in the Clear
either.
advert, is it? The one...
The before and after.
Yeah.
No, I'm happy to say no, it's not. It's actually a gentleman called Lord Buckethead.
The clue was there, wasn't it? The clue was there.
Could have had a guess, really, couldn't he?
I'm a fool to myself.
He's standing against John Major on the policy that everyone should wear a bucket on their head. Major, of course, as we know, favours wearing a large owl. Lord Owlhead. Alan, who is this woman?
Ah, well, I'm not entirely certain that is a woman.
Is it?
It's a transsexual party, is it?
April Ashley.
No, you're...
I'll September, Ashley, I would think. It's getting a bit weathered around the upper lip.
Yes.
It is a woman, is it?
It is a
It's
woman.
not Mrs.
just.
Buckethead, is it?
It's someone called Sandra McRae, formerly Stephen Ray, a man who in 1977 asked to be changed into a woman. Unfortunately, he didn't say which woman, and he looked like he got Glenda Jackson. Probably one of the few politicians who would benefit from a bucket over his head. Currently standing for the SNP, in fact, in Glasgow's roughest constituency, Sandra was once a prop forward for Stornoway Rugby Club. I suppose it gives the flanker something to hang on to in the scrum, and that's suspenders. Rory, a slightly more conventional figure for you.
I think it's Dave Nellist.
Very good indeed, yes.
Oh, yeah. Dave
The
Nellist,
unmistakable figure of...
It does help when you actually get to see their face, doesn't it?
It does.
I'm only used to seeing them from the unusual angle.
Yes.
This is Dave Nellist, who's nearly as bearded as Robin Cook, but not quite. And on those grounds, I think he was thrown out of the Labour Party. No, he was chucked out because he's a socialist, and they don't have those anymore.
Yes.
Got a lot of socialites.
Hoping to benefit from the Labour split is the Tory candidate Martine Hyams. She's a former dancer with the Johnny Wilson Rock and Roll Sinners, whose career peaked, we're told, in the 50s with an appearance at London's Café de Paris. Difficult to imagine where it troughed. And finally in this round, Ian, who's this on his way out?
This is Alan Amos,
Oh, yes.
the MP who was caught on Hampstead Heath.
I thought it was Edward Heath, wasn't it? Wrong sailor, sorry.
He was arrested in an area known as Gobbler's Gulch. Which I believe is a reference to the bar snacks they serve at the neighbouring pub.
Good.
Anyway, he obviously wasn't doing anything at all, as he said, so he's resigned.
Police source, I have to tell you, said that these men were not, in fact, having full gay sex. Colleagues described the incident as a tremendous blow for him. At the end of all that, it's painfully clear that Paul and Alan have, well, they're dragging their heels with 5, and Ian and Rory are forging ahead with 8. And so we enter the pandemonium that is our archive round. Both bits of footage are taken from the SDP archive, one of the smaller rooms in the BBC. Ian and Rory, what happened next for you?
Where's this school that you all come from? This one. They're all saying, this is Spalding Grammar School.
Yes.
Roy Jenkins scored.
Roy Jenkins talked to the schoolboy for about 5 minutes, and the schoolboy persuaded him to just pack it in.
Not far off. Let's see if you're right.
Where's this school that you all come from? This one. They're all saying, this is Spalding Grammar School.
Yes. Yes, same here.
How are you?
He's right, Jenkins. Do you truly believe the only way out of the present economic recession is by watered-down Tory economic and financial policies?
Yes, it was Roy Jenkins rendered speechless for once at Spalding Grammar School, where he was advocating the return to the traditional values of reading, writing and arithmetic, or the 3 W's as he called them. Paul and Alan, not so much what happened next for you as what's going on here.
Healthcare should be provided on the basis of need, not on a capacity to pay.
It's a child from the Roy Jenkins clip. Hasn't entirely grown up.
Auditioning for Max Headroom or something? Or?
Max Big Head Room.
Incredibly, given the Aaron jumper, this was all in a vain attempt to attract young people. We have more chance with Bill Wyman, really. Dr. Owen has announced that he'll be retiring from politics after this election in order to spend more time with his ego. So, at the end of that round, the upshot of it all is that... well, I can tell you that Paul and Alan have a frankly poor 8, and Ian and Rory have a thoroughly excellent 12. And so we bid a warm welcome to round 5, our special election odd one out round, 4 apparently unconnected souls, 3 of which have a common link, one being the social outcast. What's the connection and who is the Fergie? Paul, you're first. Andrew Lloyd Webber, Vince Hill, Rock Dinosaurs, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, or ELP if you're sad, and Rolf Harris.
I'll try and do it through deduction. Now, Andrew Lloyd Webber's written a fanfare, hasn't he, for John Major. Emerson, Lake and Palmer had a record called Fanfare for the Common Man. Vince Hill... Rolf Harris has advertised Kentucky Fried Chicken. And And Vince Hill...
Doesn't have many fans anymore.
No.
Is the odd one out because he's never written a fanfare or advertised Kentucky Fried Chicken?
Yes, Vince Hill.
It's an interesting deduction and completely wrong. Ian, any idea?
Rolf Harris has written a party political tune as well, hasn't he?
You're on the right lines.
It's the Lions in '87, wasn't it?
Two little boys.
I'll give you a point each. The answer is Rolf Harris, as all the others have been responsible for party election music.
What was Vince Hill?
Vince Hill caused the Tories to storm to victory in '79 by singing Hello Maggie to the tune of Hello Dolly. Inspired lyrics. And Andrew Lloyd Webber arranged Purcell's Abdelaza for the Tories this year, as you mentioned. Perhaps Memories might have been a more appropriate one this year. Still, a cut above the Liberal Democrats, they had Paddy's theme performed by the keyboards player of Bucks Fizz. Rolf Harris, to his credit, never recorded any election music, but he was there in spirit.
Two brothers fighting on opposite sides, and one sees the other.
I hadn't heard that.
Did you think I'd leave you dying when there's room on my horse for two?
Dear, oh dear.
Yep. Maggie would have shot the wounded one in the head.
Alan, which is the odd one out here? Ken Dodd, Ken Barlow, Ken Livingston, and Steve Davis. Tricky one, this.
Well, then. 3 of them are called Ken. 3 of them play snooker. 3 of them are immensely boring. And 3 of them interfere with newts. So they're all in their particular ways. I would go... these are political affiliations, are they?
Ken Dodd, Ken Barlow, whatever his name, and Steve Davis are all Tories, aren't they?
Yes.
So in that sense, Ken
as dull
Livingston
as
could
that,
be the
you
odd
think?
one. I don't know.
Yes, it's well
a wonderful
done.
meeting,
Well deduced. Good, yes.
Did you see it on the telly? Ken Barlow meets John Major.
Well, it is...
What a boring man. Not Barlow, obviously. the other one.
Only Ken Livingston, interestingly, doesn't support the Tory party, although they do share a common enemy. Rory. 4 famous faces for you. So Robin Day, Jeffrey Archer again, Ted Dexter, and Jimmy Edwards.
Are they all Sir Jimmy Edwards? Was he Sir Jimmy? No.
Well, it may all be
we're
true.
hungry over here.
Yes,
Do
I
it,
can
Paul.
tell there's an answer
Paul.
coming.
Jimmy Edwards once stood for the Conservatives in Paddington in about 1961. Jeffrey Archer stood for Conservatives, Ted Dexter has, and Robin Day once stood for the Liberal Party.
Archer's the only one who got in, I think.
Yes, extremely good.
Well,
2 points. They're all...
for anybody else.
Jeffrey Archer was actually walking round Battersea the other day, where I live, and some old blokes that was coming along, and he said, "Can I just ask you a question, Mr. Archer?" And he says, "Yes, fire away." He said, "Why don't you sod off?"
He wasn't a slightly balding Welsh person.
Outside Marks and Spencer's, it was.
Well. Finally, in this round, Ian, 4 cherubic faces for you. Claire Rayner.
Oh, yeah.
John Mortimer. Robbie Coltrane. and Gandhi.
They've all presented Grandstand.
I think this must be a Labour Party question.
Gandhi didn't have anything to do with Sanofi mechanism. He wore that dubious sheet for much of his life. Who's the bloke working Gandhi?
It's nothing to do with Richard Attenborough, is it?
I think we're getting further away from the answer. Yes, the odd one out is Mahatma Gandhi. The other 3 were among the hefty celebrities attending Labour's notorious fundraising dinner at the Park Lane Hotel. Mahatma Gandhi was not present at the dinner as he was unavoidably deceased. And at the end of all that, I can tell you that, well, who would have thought it? Paul and Alan have a virtually irretrievable 13, and Ian and Rory have an almost unstoppable 15. Well, we come now rather gratefully to our final missing words round. Each team is given a set of headlines with 1 or 2 words blanked out. All they have to do is guess the missing words or think of something better. We like to pick on the team in last place and hold them up to the glare of public humiliation by inviting them to go first. So, Paul and Alan, I'm afraid that means you. So away we go. Most what?
Corpses?
Would vote for Tories?
Is
No.
it women?
Conservatives.
Expats?
Sticking your neck out a bit there.
Cats?
Almost. The other
Dogs.
ones. Dogs, very good, well done.
That's a really desperate headline. Is that the Daily Mail?
Real leg
Can't
lifter.
see from here. Next, Lib Dems reap reward for clean what?
Campaign?
Underpants.
Campaign is right, yes, very good. Underpants is not right. Next, Kinnock lures floaters with what?
PR, isn't it?
It's actually poll reform, but I'll give you
PR,
P.
yeah.
We'll take it.
Plumbing reform.
We'll take it.
Next, politicians show signs of what?
Honesty?
Fatigue, is it?
Intelligence.
Fatigue is the right answer, very
No,
good.
that wouldn't be news.
And finally, Thatcher still a factor as Heath goes what?
Hawaiian?
It's a lovely image, but not right.
Walkabout.
Goes on and on, isn't it? He's
On and
standing
on,
for
very
another,
good, yes.
another
Goes on
couple
and
of
on.
terms.
Snatched.
Excellent. Right, Ian and Rory, here are your headlines. Arcilla sends Major to his date with who?
Jason Donovan.
Allegedly.
Voters is the
his
right
date with
answer, hard luck.
voters.
Next, I made what, says Kinnock.
Kaufman disappear.
What?
Glenda Jackson.
Allegedly. No.
I made, constructed, fabricated, built, created, designed, whatever it was.
Is it
Two mistakes.
two mistakes?
Something about
I'll
mistakes.
give you a
few
point
errors.
for mistake. Errors on key issues is actually the rather dull answer. Next, Tories see Hurd's what as big plus with voters?
Retirement.
Dalek impersonation.
Authority is the
Authority,
answer.
even more
Authority.
silly.
Slightly duller. Next, Paddy waves what?
And he waves it about.
Allegedly.
Tax axe is the answer. And
doing very well
lastly,
here, are you?
Heseltine fails to find the what in his knapsack.
Grecian 2000.
It's Marshall's baton, isn't it?
I'm afraid it would, but
Dibber.
Alan just leapt in before you, so I'm afraid Alan gets the point. Even though it wasn't his question, that's not very
good
fair, is it?
baton
And after that flawless display of groping in the dark, the final verdict is that tonight, enjoying a small majority, are Paul and Alan with 22, and losing their deposits are Ian and Rory with 20. So for winning, Paul and Alan get a delightful Je t'aime JM t-shirt here. There you are. And for losing, Ian and Rory get 2.
Collector's item, isn't it?
It's got on the back, I love Gobbler's Gulch. I'd like to opt out of that, please.
No, I'm afraid you can't. For continuity reasons. But all is not entirely lost for our defeated captain. Not only is there the chance of a rematch in our next series, which starts in 2 weeks' time, but he has the opportunity to redeem himself now with our caption competition. Paul and Alan, what have you come up with for this?
I can't think of anything you can use on British television for that one. Daddy.
Very good. Ian and Rory, what about yours?
Ah, so you're the one who edits Private Eye.
I thought it was something like, you're bald, you dribble, and you got a mental age of 1. I'm not voting for you.
On which contentious note, we say thank you to our guests, Ian Hislop and Rory Bremner, Paul Merton and Alan Corran. And I leave you with news that Labour and the Conservatives may be close to reaching an electoral pact after Norman Tebbit is seen emerging from lunch with Roy Hattersley. Plans to clean up Paddy Ashdown's image suffer another setback. Meanwhile, the search continues for Gerald Kaufman. And finally, the Liberal Democrat leader spots the very sign that gives his party hope for a landslide victory: a pig. Neil Kinnock MP. Ian and Joe, a case of nighttime robbery for you.
I shagged him.
You think I would be in? Oh, yeah. Oh.
So
we all have in our own way, haven't we?
Not personally, no, but...
That's Terry Wogan getting desperate for people to watch his programme, so paying Cher an awful lot of money, 20 grand, a pound for every year of her life, to come on his show. I'm not bitter. Well, you know, she got 20 grand, right? I got 800. She got a new bum, and I went down quick fit and had one of my blackheads squeezed.
It's a lovely image, I must say.
You can see why it would cost 20,000 to fly her over, because they have to do it in bits and then reassemble her here.
It is the revelation that almost £20,000 a time is being handed over to celebrities for 5-minute appearances on a Friday night with Wogan, as a result of which next week's edition of Have I Got News For You will be presented by Alan Titchmarsh. Leslie Nielsen...
Nice suit. I always think brown is tremendously underrated. As a colour.
Just going to blow my nose to make sure that this gets edited out.
The words
That's not very British.
arse.
Sorry.
I'll just carry on saying it then. Brown suit.
Right, where were we? Oh, yes.
We were talking about your brown suit.
Oh, dear. Neil, it's Heil Thatcher. What's that all about?
Oh, this is about one of the most disgraceful and infamous attacks on one of the most beloved figures of our generation.
What, Hitler?
And somebody actually plastered or drew a moustache on a picture of Baroness Thatcher. And it was the police have pulled in about 12 million suspects. and you know, next week, do you know what's going to happen next week? They're going to colour in John Major. So. It'll be a real challenge to us.
It is the disturbing news that some irresponsible vandal has had the audacity to paint a Hitler moustache on the portrait of Mrs. Thatcher, or Baroness Thatcher, sorry, in the Commons coffee room. It must be the first time she's been touched up since Cecil left. Investigators think that the vandal is probably a long-time rival of Mrs. Thatcher's from an opposition party and recently freed from the constraints of official responsibility. No names have been issued. Suffice to say, this studio has been surrounded. In the news this week, as Buckingham Palace prepares to welcome tourists for the first time, the finishing touches are put to the new look trooping of the colour. On a Luton housing estate, local residents say that joyriders have definitely gone too far this time. And in London, as Norman Lamont ties a rope around his neck in a fit of depression, fellow Conservatives rush to his assistance. Bottomley goes shopping to Tesco's.
Well, the government, in the person Mrs. Bottomley, has come up with a new privatisation wheeze, which is that they're not going to build any new hospitals, which you may have thought was true anyway. They're going to get M&S and Tesco's to do it instead.
Mm-hmm. They should just combine the two, you know, put the hospital in the Tesco's. You could keep the old-aged people in the deep freeze and...
You could have till 6 operations or less.
That's right.
I'd like to return the skin graft. It doesn't quite fit.
Yes, well done. It's the announcement that companies such as Tesco's may soon be building new hospitals in rural areas in exchange for old NHS sites in the centre of towns. The scheme is part of the government's plan to inject private sector policies into the health service, so look out for those family packs of plastic hip joints, offers of 2 heart transplants for the price of 1, and a free copy of Family Circle with every anaesthetic. Not that you really need an anaesthetic if you read Family Circle. Hey, Paul.
Does Paul advertise Family Circle?
No, he writes in it.
He writes in it?
He's the main features editor.
Yes, I have done for 2 years, so you're well up on the press, aren't you?
Yeah. Do we count Family
Felicity.
Circle as the press?
Oh, yes.
I suppose same as calling Imperial Leather a soap.
Well, it's not a horse, is it? What else?
The way you advertise it, I can't tell.
Oh, really? And there's you doing your adverts for Cooper's Creosote.
I've not seen that commercial. It sounds intriguing.
You'll be doing the voiceover soon enough.
Monday morning, actually, oddly enough. Yes, even now, hospitals...
Well, you're not too busy knocking off my wife.
So jealous.
She says, can you wear something distinctive? And she's forgotten what you look like.
Well, I've got a number of brown suits to choose from, actually. Mira, your hybrid concoction consists of Giles Brandreth, Batman, Princess Michael of Kent, and Martin Lewis.
Well, I know Martin Lewis has just written a book about cats.
Good.
Batman had his Catwoman, of course. Princess Michael's Moggies got done on their doorstep. Somebody's a rotten shot. And Giles Brandreth couldn't pull pussy if he tried. Allegedly.
Is Batman the odd one out? Because all the others have published books about cats and are notorious cat lovers.
Well, I'll give you one, because you got it absolutely...
I'll tell the wife. Keep it in the family, eh, Angus?
Wednesday night, all right? Yeah, I'll give you one because you got the...
Is that the same one as you gave me earlier?
Yeah.
You're a fit boy, aren't you?
But I'll give Mira one as well.
Oh, well, why don't you start in the front row of the audience? You animal.
I'm afraid that's just the sort of man I am.
Oh.
4 peas in a pod for you. Gaza. Fiona Armstrong here. Kenneth Tynan. And Jules Holland.
Oh. This is just so easy, this one. I mean, it's about just
Excuse
obvious,
me, it's my question.
I mean, Gaza, Ken
It's the battle of the
Tynan, Jules
breakfasts.
Holland, those 3 all have the F factor.
Well, you've jumped in perfectly right before...
It's very funny as well.
You weren't going to say that, were you?
Which
I
3
said
have
it
the
just
F
before you
factor?
said it.
I wasn't going to say that, actually.
Right.
Gaza and Ken, sadly no longer with us. Jules, still with us.
All personal mates?
No, not at all. Have all said the F word on television shows. Fiona obviously hasn't said the F word on a television show, but she probably said it just after she'd left. One, maybe.
We can change it after right now with one simple word, you know.
No.
Go on, do it.
No.
It's worth it.
And that's it. Gaza and Kenneth Tynan are no longer with us, did you say?
Kenneth Tynan was the first person to say fuck on television. I was the latest for 2 seconds.
You know you fucking weren't.
Oh,
yes, I fucking was.
Go on, Fiona! Go on, Fee! Go on!
No, you say it.
Cut.
She says it at home.
How do you know?
It's that,
You must do.
Exactly. Have you ever been to Fiona's Head?
Yes, don't talk about that. Go on. Has he been to my home? He's been shouting through my letterbox.
Is this true?
Really?
That's not true.
Has he been shouting?
I mean, I will do if you really want me to, but I haven't been.
It's a great scene, him looking through the letterbox. One of your only viewers.
No, big...
Oh, Ian!
I can't believe someone said that.
And with Paul Merton this week, we were hoping to be joined by the Right Honourable Roy Hattersley, but sadly, and for the third time in our brief history, he's pulled out at the last minute due to having something better to do. So, as his replacement, liable to give much the same performance, and imbued with many of the same qualities, we're delighted to welcome a tub of lard. Tub of lard, a curious claim for you. No conferring. Sex, beer and neat moustaches solve riddle of the pyramids.
Well, since he can't do it, I think
Hang on a minute.
I haven't given him a
He's
chance
only just
yet.
seen it. He can't see the monitor from there anyway, look.
Paul and the tub of lard, here are your headlines, which, as it's our last show, have something of an international flavour. Monsieur Clinton s'apprêterait de changer what?
Right, well, bearing in mind that I did metal work... Right, Monsieur Clinton. So, what does that sound like? So, don't know what that is.
Not quite as
Changes the... is it... Director of Media Communications?
No, it's Monsieur Clinton s'apprêterait à changer de underpants.
Oui, Monsieur Clinton s'apprêterait à changer des pantalons pristinement blancs de Michael Winner.
Allegedly.
Allègement.
If anyone's interested, I can make a trowel. Is it director of...
Yes, you're Directeur de la Communication is absolument right.
I think we got that.
We got that.
Die Bank von England gibt große what zu?
Well, I don't know. Is it...
Angus, I know this.
Yeah, we know this.
I know this. Die Bank van England gießt große Stinkpensen der britische Filmendirektor. And his wife, Zoo.
Grosse amounts of money to fat Bundesbankers.
9, it's Besorgnis. It's the...
Bless you.
I'm amazed you didn't get...
I'm not in one of John Simpson's trips. I'm sitting here with a tub of lard trying to answer questions in German.
Well, we shan't ask another one in German.
Well, good.
Next, what cup symbol Jaworsky Zasi?
Well, it's not Michael Winner, because the second word's cack, look.
No.
Some of those letters are upside down, look.
They like it like that.
What's that one at the end? It looks like a sort of seagull flying off, look.
It's Russian.
That's an A.
Oh, it's Russian. Oh, I do beg your pardon.
It's Russian. They're allowed to do
Is
that.
it Yeltsin?
Yeltsin?
No.
Is it Yeltsin? What? I must have been off sick the day we did this at school.
It's Yeltsin is...
The tub of lard's no bloody good, look.
Completely
It says made in the EEC here. I've not had a word out of it.
Is it perestroika or something? Or something
it's
like
nothing even
Big
remotely
Mac,
like
potato.
that. It's slightly closer to home. It's actually Lord Owen.
No.
Next up is... Wakiho Kaisei Kyo what?
Is it bean fried rice?
It's actually...
It's Gary Lineker.
Sairitsu is actually the answer I was looking for, which means...
What does that word mean?
Labour Standard Law.
Oh, of course.
And finally, what?
Fish found on moon, antelope on bicycle. Potato cures boredness, claims mad vicar.
TV's Angus shagging Merton's wife.
It's close. It's actually DLT quits Radio 1.
Now you say it, it's obvious, isn't it?
which valiant attempts at linguistic competence see us winging our way to the end of this round programme and indeed series. And the final showdown seems to have ended with the hardly satisfactory conclusion that this week's down and outs are Ian and Tony with 16, and this week's upwardly mobiles are Paul and the Tub of Lard with 20.
It is getting rather sad when I can't win against Paul when he's accompanied by a tub of lard and the questions are in a foreign language.
We did everything we could, Ian, but...
I feel like Graham Taylor.
On which erudite note we say thank you to our guests, Ian Hislop and Tony Slattery, Paul Merton and the Tub of Lard, whom we wish well in its new job as presenter of Holiday 93. And I leave you with news that at the British end of the Channel Tunnel there are fears that the new rolling stock may leave something to be desired. Across the Atlantic, Bolivian television unveils one of the team captains for the South American version of Call My Bluff. And finally, Virginia Bottomley performs her famous shadow puppet of a Thai prostitute. Good night.